What's up, guys, and welcome back to Paint Bravely, the podcast where you can find a little bit of encouragement, discover new ways to make your hobby more fun, and most importantly, learn to paint bravely. Now, today we actually have a main topic, which is pretty awesome because we don't usually tend to do that. Brent's got his drink and some updates to give before we get into that. So, what have you been up to since we last talked, Brent?
Okay, bear with me here. Popsicle sticks. And
Popsicle sticks.
Look, my hot tip of the day is going to be wood, okay? This is what we're talking about today. I'm hijacking this. I know you had a topic you wanted to talk about. We're going to start in on popsicle sticks, how they relate to minis, what you can do with popsicle sticks. We're going to see where we end up. All right. Now,
this podcast is taking a turn.
I want to lay out some definitions here. When I say popsicle stick, I'm using that in the broad sense. So any sort of crafting stick. So anything from wooden coffee stirrers up through your traditional popsicle stick, up through your medical tongue depressors, and all kinds of crafting sticks in between. I've been to Michael's. I've been shopping at various online retailers. And, okay, look, I know I sound a little bit crazed, but it's because I am legitimately excited about this topic. This has real bearing and worth for the topic of mini painting, mini collecting, mini photography, and gaming in general. All right.
Tell us more, Brent.
Oh, thank you, Casey. I'm glad you asked. Okay, so how to frame this? How to frame this? So you started. You got all sorts of popsicle sticks. Where do you source these popsicle sticks from? Okay, so at first I made a trip to Michael's Craft Store.
Michael's Craft Store.
Michael's
Craft Store. They got a lot of popsicle sticks.
Yeah, Michael's Craft Store, they have this scheme where everything in the store is horrendously overpriced. Popsicle sticks are still, like, pretty cheap, to be fair. But, you know, it's a store, everything is just horrendously overpriced, and you've got to be really on the lookout for proper coupons, you know?
Yeah. Pro tip. If you go onto their website right before you go to checkout, you pretty much always get a 40% off coupon for your cart or whatever. So that's what
It's true. So what you got to do is you got to bring that coupon up on your phone. You show it to the person at the cashier, and you know
they don't care where it's from.
I feel pretty smart because no one else in line is doing this, right?
That's true. That's same. Nobody ever is doing that, and I'm always like, why aren't you busting out your phone and getting your 40% or whatever?
Right. It's like you should not be looking bored right now. You need to be on your phone, making sure you got a barcode on the screen, that your phone isn't going to sleep or anything, so that it's ready to show to the cashier when the time comes. And
I always take a picture of it and I airdrop that to my wife when we're shopping. Yeah.
And I think one of these days, I may feel sociable enough to turn to the person next to me and be like, hey, did you see this 35% off your entire purchase here on the Michaels.com web store? I think they're just going to scan this in and just give me a third off my purchase price. Look, pro tip, don't pay full price at Michaels. But Michaels is really one of the most common craft stores I go to, or like hobby stores I go to. Like if I'm making a run for hobby supplies, it's either an actual friendly local game store or Michael's most of the time. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting
or
because
the hardware store. Yeah, there's actually a lot. Never mind. What am I talking
sometimes, about? Yeah. Yeah. Like I have a Michael's pretty close to me. And I've featured it on my channel several times, me driving to this Michael's. And like, I don't know, I always feel way more hopeful when I go in. And I usually come out like a little bit disappointed. Like occasionally I'll find something and I'm just like, wow, how did I not know this was here? You know? But for the most part, I just can't. I can't do it with the Michaels.
Sometimes you find the right thing, but you know it's overpriced. And I think that's part of it.
Yeah, that might be it.
Because there are some good aisles there. There's, acrylic paint aisle. They've got some legitimately very good paintbrushes. They've got some legitimately, or at least interesting paints that you can buy. That's one place I know of to get inks for airbrushing.
They got Liquitex there, yeah.
Yeah. And And just if you're like, okay, I need craft sticks, I need popsicle sticks, and maybe they're larger and smaller brothers and sisters, you go to Michael's. And
yeah.
And so indeed, I was able to get some like 50 packs, nothing huge, but like some starter packs, let's say, of crafting sticks.
Crafting sticks.
And
how many sticks did you end up with?
Not that many on that trip, to be honest.
Not that trip, okay.
Yeah. And man, I think all I really wanted to say here is that day it was only a 20% off everything coupon in the line. Bummer. And like, I mean, I'll make sure the cashier scans this, but it's one of those ones that like, man, I know if I come back like tomorrow after 3 or whatever, like Byzantine rules they're using, it'll be way cheaper. It's all right. I'm losing focus here. I mean, we can get back to Michael's, but we're talking about craft sticks. This is
we're talking about crafting sticks. Yeah, I just wanted to throw that coupon thing out there because, like, that's going to save you some percentage pretty quick, and that does add up, especially going to Michael's. That sucks. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, every once in a while you'll have the like, oh, this coupon is only good if you ordered from home and then came to the store to pick it up, but you just gotta be firm. Gotta be firm.
That's true. They generally have a coupon behind or near their register that just straight up gives you like 50% off.
Yeah.
So if you hound them enough, like, they will give in. Or it's like, this is only off of one item.
Like, man, I know you gotta I know you gotta work your system with all these coupons, man. I know it's silly, but we both know I'm not walking out of here without a discount. So,
well, the thing, okay, so sometimes you get it's 50% off, but only one item.
Yeah,
and this is like a generic thing that's on their website.
So you go through that line 10 times.
The big brain move is to go through 10 times, and by the third time or so, they're just gonna give it to you.
Right? No, exactly. You let them know, like, look, there is nobody in line right now. After you complete this transaction, I'm getting back in line and I am buying this set of off-brand coffee stirrers, like.
Yes. Exactly.
But enough about Michael's hobby and craft stores. We are talking about a very generic and almost universal crafting supply, which is small pieces of wood. And for those of you on YouTube, I'm gonna hold up just a few things to feast your eyes on. And what I have done is I've just taken a piece of foam board and I've created, I don't know, like a floor, basically.
Yeah, wood floor.
Yeah, a wood floor. So I've taken tiny little wooden planks and made them look like a tiny little wooden floor, but actually like a pretty good sized little wooden floor here. That's 9 inches by 18. And so where all this started and where all this is going is kind of like either a stage or like a TV set for displaying and photographing minis. So this was an idea I saw I don't know, a year ago or so on the DMG Info YouTube channel. So this is one of the older like terrain crafting YouTube channels. I think like a contemporary of Black Magic Craft. They were active around the same time. I think Gareth decided to remove a lot of his older videos, and then he focused on crafting stages for online D&D games. So I'll hold something else up to the video if you're watching at home. But I have the DMG Info's designed stage, essentially. So it is a trapezoidal floor, a backdrop in the back. So in this case, I have a wooden floor and a foam stone brick backdrop. And the idea is that you put your webcam in front of the stage so that the webcam can just see the floor, the backdrop, and any minis and scattered terrain that you put on there. And this way, you can play a game of online Dungeons and Dragons or some other role-playing game. And instead of using like a top-down map, it is minis in a little scene from kind of like a third person view, I guess. Maybe a first person view, maybe. I don't know.
It depends on the camera, I guess.
Yeah. But it creates a scene and a setting for the minis. It puts them in a world. And I thought this was really cool. So I saw these videos like a year ago or so. And it's kind of at the back of my mind. Someday I'll do this. And the day has come.
Right.
That's where we are. Yeah.
That's pretty clever, honestly. Yeah, I mean, in the world that we are in right now, playing D&D online has certainly become kind of the normal thing to do, you know? And I think that even though there are softwares out there that do help us do that, having an actual like 3-dimensional thing with a camera over it, however you want to do it, to represent your game, to show that to the players, like just adds that little bit of extra. I like the idea. I think it's pretty cool. And you're talking about like switchable backgrounds. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah. That is absolutely the design. And so the DMG info, I mean, he has like templates you can buy. And so I went and bought the PDF templates and printed them out. And you get kind of this exact template designed for the pieces of foam board or the pieces of cardboard or whatever. And you build them together into a little stage. But in essence, it is a floor and a backdrop. And, you know, he designed things so that there could be like modifications or you could have like a row of columns in front of the backdrop. So there's various variants, but the general idea of a floor and a backdrop, and you put your minis on there and you either run like a live virtual D&D game where you're moving figures around on this little stage. Or it's actually really cool just for taking fun pictures of your painted minis.
I mean, that's certainly a good use for it. I mean, we definitely take a lot of pictures.
Yeah.
So that's not a bad idea.
So,
yeah.
I mean, I know, like, what do you use for backdrops?
Generally I use macro mats from Table War. And I've really only ever stuck with like one color. Like, it's kind of this like red and black one that works really well for most things that I paint.
Yeah.
Occasionally I'll do a white one because, you know, it kind of highlights certain things. Or I'll just go straight up black.
Okay.
Which is usually just a photo booth black tarp thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I use. I don't use anything crazy.
Yeah. So your macro mat thing, it's like a backdrop from an actual photography studio. Like back in 1994 when your family went to go get a family picture at the special place, they had the backdrops. Yep.
With your hand on the chin,
all these very strange
deal.
Poses, like now put your hand on your knee.
Yes.
Now put your hand on your mother's knee.
Right.
Yeah. Cross your legs.
This guy?
Uncross your legs. Put your foot just here. Like, okay.
What school did you go to?
Sure about this? He's a professional. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a professional.
Hey, family pictures are important. You know, the family keepsakes. But yeah, I mean, some of these old-timey, or they seem like old-timey, I think they're just classic and genuinely useful designs for photography backdrops. And it's
pretty much like generated clouds.
Right? Yeah, it's almost like a nebula, or I'm trying to describe it. It's like just these vague amorphous shapes of...
In like the early Photoshop days, like Photoshop 2, there was a name for it, and I don't remember what it is specifically, but it is like generated cloud forms.
Okay.
But there was a name. I can't remember what it's called, but it's the same thing.
Yeah, it's not a flat color, but it's kind of some variations between, you know, a couple of different color tones, a little bit of light, a little bit of dark. But for whatever reason, it makes whatever's in the foreground really pop and look good, and who knows why. Most of the time, it hides the cat hair that's on the backdrop, you know, just that little bit of camouflage back there. Yeah. So
yeah, but you're talking 3-dimensional handcrafted backgrounds.
Yeah, in my case, there's not a lot of depth to it. So the one I have up sort of on camera right now is foam board, like poster board foam board with the top layer of paper ripped off, and then I used a pen to trace out a brick pattern. Like made the joints between the bricks just by pressing the pen in hard. And depending on what type of foam board you have or foam poster board, it works pretty well. And after I gave it a black base coat, actually used Mod Podge for the first time.
Ooh, which kind? The matte or gloss?
It was the matte, and I used the Black Magic Craft thing, putting in black smart craft paint in there to make a black Mod Podge covering. So both seals and protects that foam and primes it black. And then once it's black, that's easy to put a couple more colors on, do a dry brush, and then you got some stone. And so Jeremy is one of our friends, Black Magic Craft. We talked to him a fair bit, and we're always kind of tangential to what he's doing. Normally we're painting minis and he's making terrain, and there's a lot we could learn from each other, and sometimes we do. But this was one of my first times really trying to cross into that world and do some terrain crafting. Craft a floor and craft a back wall, a backdrop. And I liked it. Like, I got sucked in.
All of a sudden, that overpriced army painter foam kit's looking pretty nice.
Man, it is. It is, I'm telling you.
You're like, oh, this is an asset. I see where they're coming from.
Right. I need to tell you that the foam board I've been using, I got from like the trash can at my old work like 4 years ago, and it's just been biding its time. And a couple of the sheets of it, the paper peeled off really nicely, and a couple of sheets of it, the paper is not peeling off of the foam at all. This is another thing you can learn on Black Magic Craft, is that if you are doing crafting with foam board, certain brands of foam boards, like you can peel the paper off real easy and get this foam that's easy to, sculpt rocks and stuff into. And some brands do not do that, so I'll use that for some other purposes. It's all right. It's all right.
Yeah, it's still useful.
But anyway, so ballpoint pen to trace out some brickwork, using the trick of a crumpled up tinfoil ball to roll around to make a stone like texture.
Yeah. Get that rock texture. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you all have seen this before, but I mean, one way to make a rock texture in putty or whatever is to take a rock, go outside, you get a rock, press it into your putty, and then you kind of get a rock texture. For some reason, another way to do that is just to crumple up a ball of tinfoil and roll that around. That makes a better rock texture.
Super random geometry. Yeah, well, it's probably more exaggerated, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
It might be like scaled better, like the tiny, sharper, pointy bits that dig into the whatever material you're working with.
They just look more true to life at that scale. Yeah, I can see that.
And then it's normally just deep enough that the dry brush does something, That
yeah. Well, I mean, the plastic kits we go in dry brush, they're not that deep, Some of that detail is pretty surface level. So it makes sense. It still works on the same principles, right? It's like catching just the raised details.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And now we get to the popsicle sticks. So for
popsicle sticks, yeah.
Yeah. So for these floorboards,
I know what the name of this episode's going to be.
Well, this was not the intent. But you started this. Hey, Brent, what have you been up to? What are you excited about this week?
I did. I asked you that question like I asked you 40 other times.
Yeah, and every other time I did not say popsicle sticks, but you knew this day would come one of these days.
That is a good point. Yeah. It's just the first time this is going up. So, yeah, my bad, right?
Yeah, and this is a question to all you viewers out there, listeners. Why haven't you told me about popsicle sticks before? This is awesome. Casey
I feel like
has a skeptical look.
No, I'm just thinking, I've done popsicle sticks. I've had popsicle sticks. I've had popsicles with sticks in them.
Mm-hmm.
And I get how they're useful. I have definitely made my fair share of things out of popsicle sticks. In fact, when I was in 9th grade, I weirdly, for a group project, I put together an Old West looking stage with I found some like wooden barrels at a dollar store, and I made like a floor, and I actually made a Warhammer like game on this like 9x9 popsicle stick thing that I did. It was a long time ago. This is for an English project.
Why have you not told me about this, Casey?
I just remembered it now that you said it.
Follow-up
Popsicle
question,
sticks, you know?
Did you use any Minwax stain on it?
No, I don't remember. It was, I think, just watered down brown paint. That's what I used. It was a long time ago.
Okay. All right.
It's a long time ago.
All right. So I've got, like I said, various size craft sticks here, but you cut off the rounded edges if they have rounded edges. Maybe you cut them to not all exactly the same lengths, and then you get out your piece of cardboard or your piece of foam board or whatever. You get out your Elmer's glue, PVA, white school glue, and you just lay down these little planks of wood, like planks on a wooden floor. Get them like offset a little bit, so there's not like a ton of symmetry in there or anything. And I mean, at first it looks fine, but it's like the color of popsicle sticks is this really pale wood
some
color.
Some of them are red, some of them got green on them. You know, the blue one's really stained. Purple really stained.
No. They're not from these were never part of food, so there's not that dye.
I mean, I think you're doing it wrong then. Like, I'd go buy a pack of popsicles, enjoy popsicles, and then build something. Just saying.
Yeah, well,
like
I was waiting in line at Michael's. You were in the parking lot outside of the supermarket just housing popsicles.
Just going to town on popsicles.
Them down.
Brain freeze, totally worth it. Yeah.
You know what? That's not going to be a hot tip of the day. Is that
just
your hot tip of the day?
All the popsicles? I don't think that's a good idea at all. I think that's a terrible idea. Like, I think do it slowly, and then you can enjoy your wood floor even more. It's like you put some effort into it. You know, you got the stains out of it. It's a little more character, we'll call it.
That's true. Yeah, just suck that popsicle stick until there's no blue dye left in it. Yeah, good luck.
You go that route. Then the wood's all wood rotten. Well, hey, maybe that's a thing. Like, it's all bloated, and you could do something with that, like swampy floor.
You could.
Yeah,
okay.
No,
I think once you got some stain on there, it probably be pretty hard to tell, actually. Like, you might be able to get away with it just fine.
Nicely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I might have to.
Especially if you sorted them out by color and stuff, and like really.
Right? Redwood. We're using redwood.
I would be impressed if anyone actually did that, but I don't expect it.
I don't think I would be. I would feel a little bit bad, honestly. Like if somebody's like, I did it. I got to the bottom of my $4 Rocket Pop bag. There's like 30 popsicles in that bag, like the cheap giant popsicle bag, right?
Nice.
Like that's no. Pro tip is to buy those double popsicles that you can rip in half. Then you get 2 popsicle sticks for the same amount of money.
That's true.
that's where it's at.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's assume you cheated and you bought them from a craft store
just went
or
to
something
Michael's,
like that.
A monster.
Let's assume you cheated and you have fresh, clean, like pretty pale wood.
Sure.
At first, it doesn't look that cool, but wood is a beautiful material, and you put a little bit of stain or
stain.
wax, stain, or what am I trying to say? Oil, stain or oil in there.
Sure.
Then it soaks into the grain, and all of a sudden there's contrast and color, and that grain really comes out. And wood is a beautiful material. So my hardwood floors on my tiny little taverns look like hardwood floors. That's
true. I mean, it's probably as close as you can
whatever.
Get,
yeah,
right?
But
whatever you want to call them.
But I love refinishing furniture, so I took some of the like Minwax stains that I had down in the basement, and I pulled those out, put them in a little medicine cup, and brushed them on, and those craft sticks went from just this nasty pale wood to a beautiful hardwood finish. And like I said, like this is where it gets really fun, and this is where, if anyone is following me along for this journey, this is what it's all about, is when you take wood and you put stain on it for the first time, fun stuff happens. I mean, it's like putting contrast paint on a mini for the first time. You just want to try out different colors and like see what happens if you put a couple of layers on there. It's like, wow, what's going on here? Like this liquid is doing all the work for me, and just yeah.
That's true. Yeah, that's it's good stuff. I'm just trying to think of a wood staining thing. I made some shelves. I stained those. It's fun. It's fun. Yeah. It was fun.
So, I mean, I'm on the verge of just wandering off into like tiny furniture category, and like
now we're getting into a whole hobby on its own. Right? Yeah. Yeah. Dollhouse scale. Mm-hmm. What is that called? There's actually like a huge brand of that specifically.
Oh, for sure. This is a big genre of things that we should know more about.
It is. It's huge. Yeah. We probably should. And I've seen like way more than I ever thought I would. There are some hobby stores that carry that stuff. Mm-hmm. Like I don't think Michael's does. Others do. Anyway.
I think I've seen like one shelf of tiny dressers or something there. Sometimes.
That's true. They have some like weird scale, like fairy land stuff, which is again a whole other thing. Like building like fairy woods in your backyard, like in cutouts of trees and like under a piece of deck or something, and then you just have these like scenes all around your yard, like little mini living dioramas. Yeah, it's kind of awesome.
It is.
Totally love to do that. If Warhammer minis would last outside, somehow we could recast them into like hardy materials that would last. It's an interesting idea, actually. Right.
Well, I was thinking about that one character from The Wire also, who like works down in the records department and is just always making tiny little dollhouse furniture, like staining up. Rewatch The Wire sometime. It'll be worth it.
I've still not seen The Wire.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
one of those shows.
Moving on. Well, you should. I recommend it.
I know. I bet it's so many times it's been recommended. Like so many times.
Yeah. So to wrap this up a little bit here, it is possible to make some really cool hardwood floors pretty easily. It is fun. It's rewarding. It is a nice backdrop for kind of admiring your minis in a different way. And then I think making the walls depends what you want to do for the walls. It might be a little harder if you want to put doors and windows and shelves in there and stuff, but if you just want to make a brick wall, it's pretty easy.
Make good doors.
Yeah, you could, or just, some paneled wood walls. I'm definitely going to try that.
Just wood everywhere.
Yeah.
Everything's made of wood.
So
these people are rich.
Yeah, so you get through this kind of quick, but I've been gearing up to try to do a D&D podcast with a couple of folks. So the 20-Sided Realms is a podcast with Blake and Ed from Life After the Cover Save. It's kind of like an R-rated comedy podcast, but we've changed out a couple of members. And so myself and Raquel from Rock Rex Art are going to be on there as well. And we decided to put it down to maybe like an easy PG-13 sort of level. And we have started recording some sessions of D&D for a D&D comedy podcast. So far, we've had a couple of sessions. It's been fun. It's been funny. This is still probably like a month or two out from launching. But I did want to, like this show, have the audio stream of it, and also have a option to watch it on YouTube. And instead of just a blank screen on YouTube, we decided not to film our faces because we didn't, you get easier to edit if you don't have to edit the faces moving around. That's true. Yeah.
That's very true. Like audio only, this gonna be a lot easier. And with five people? 4 people?
Yeah, 4 players in the DM.
That's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot to edit to then combine video unless you're all in the same place. Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing it on Skype, and so audio only makes it easier to edit some awkwardness out there or whatever. And Travis the DM has been doing a really great job on the audio edit, so that's a little whiles out. But the 20-sided realms, you can listen to their previous seasons now. The kind of refreshed, reborn version will be in a month or two here. But for that YouTube channel, I want to have something for the eyes to look at. And so that's why I'm kind of collecting some floors and some walls to make little like TV sets or little scenes, little stages to put. We're going to get some Hero Forge minis. We'll just have like the characters in Hero Forge minis painted up, standing in a couple of different sets. Some panning shots, some rotating shots, just something for the eyes to look at while the game's going on. And I don't know, that's my justification for this little hobby side quest here, getting the scenery ready. But I don't know, this idea of having set backdrops for taking pictures of your minis, I'm really excited about it. It's
yeah, I can tell. I mean, that's pretty cool. So is the podcast going to be called the 20-sided? Is it still the same name, or
I think it's the same name? Yeah. So they've had they had, I want to say, like 18 months worth of episodes. Maybe it was even 2 years worth of episodes.
It's quite a bit.
Yeah, and 40 episodes. I don't know. I mean, I listened to both seasons and I enjoyed it immensely. Like, those guys are very funny and talented.
They are funny.
Travis is a great DM, and they would need to. One of the people needed to step aside for a little while, and so they were recruiting for a couple extra players, and so I'm going to give it a shot. Raquel's going to give it a shot. We'll see how it goes. But we recorded our first couple episodes. It was fun. Hopefully it'll be good listening. Something to listen to while you're painting, you know. And
yeah, I'm looking forward to that for sure.
What else? I have written on my notes here that on the topic of mini backgrounds, if you're on Instagram, check out Arcus Paints. So Marcel, or Arcus.paints, is a talented painter, but a project they did a few months ago is kind of like a courtyard for some of the heroes from the Cursed City game.
Oh, okay.
And so it's essentially a floor and then like a U of a courtyard, sort of like 2 exterior walls and then a back exterior wall. And so again, kind of a floor and 3 walls for displaying and taking pictures of minis, and it looks good. I mean, it's more than just like walls. It's 3-dimensional, and there's a lot of cool like architecture, but it looks good. And so if you're on Instagram, Arcus Paints, there, recommendation. Cool.
Very nice. So that's basically what you've been up to for the last 4 weeks.
Man, I don't even know. I've been 3D printing. I've been working. Whatever. Don't worry about it, Casey. Don't worry about it.
I'm just saying. Just haven't seen a Goobertown video in a minute. I get why. You know, stuck in the old building stuff.
And I get distracted, but wouldn't have it any other way.
That's true. It's a good call. Yeah, because I don't like it when I miss videos. Although I missed the week before last. So I got sick. Even though I was kind of sick when we did that last episode, I actually got like really sick after that. Luckily, I tested negative for COVID. I'm vaccinated anyway, so I wasn't really expecting it to be, but it was pretty bad. Like, I actually couldn't taste anything for like a week and a half. Yeah, I had like a horrible infection. They had to like give me all this medicine. It's all better now. supposedly.
Seems an ear infection, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably.
I don't know if you said the word ear or not, but
I didn't.
The listeners may have just heard I had a terrible infection.
But it's terrible infection. Yeah. Got it from your mom. That's okay.
No.
Just saying. Insert that if I forgot ear. That's fine.
It was an ear infection, like a child. Oh.
Which is weird. Yeah, right. Like, because my doctor was like, "When was the last time you even had an ear infection?" I'm like, "I don't know. When I was like 5, I literally don't even remember."
Right.
So it's like, it's this fluke of a thing, right? It just happened. And so they were just like, "Oh, we'll just chalk it up to like swimmer's ear. Like you got water in there, and it something happened." It's like, oh, okay, fine. So I don't know. I was out though. Like I tried to edit video, and I fell asleep at my editing desk. Like I was out. So that didn't happen. But everything's good now. So I haven't done a lot. I finished a 2,000 point army. Other than that, I really didn't do a lot of other Popsicle Stick stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're ever laying in bed and you need a change of pace, you can't focus on editing videos, but maybe you can cut some popsicle sticks up.
Right.
Or maybe just eat some popsicles. Start by eating the popsicles.
I mean, that sounds nice.
Yeah.
Like when you're sick.
I'm thinking about it. Maybe you get some lemonade popsicles. I don't think those will stain too bad.
Yeah. No, they don't really. Yeah. It depends though on like how like terrible the I guess how cheap the lemonade pops are, you know what I'm saying? Because you can buy like organic lemonade pops that don't have like the
cheaper they are, the more dye they put in there, I think.
Exactly. Yeah. So you getting some weird color in there. You end up with some yellow popsicle sticks. Which, whatever. A little yellow undertone for your brown stain.
By the time you put that dark walnut stain on there, be fine.
Yeah.
Be fine.
Exactly.
Put that cherry oak on there, be no problem.
Yeah, exactly. No, but while I was sick, I got like weirdly way into 10 millimeter wargaming models.
That's good too. That's real good.
It's like, and I was reading a bunch of stuff about it, and like other people were in the kind of same predicament. They're like, I've been sick. I've been like laying in bed, and I'm just like, I want to paint or play it. I want to play a game, right? But I'm in bed. It's like, well, I want to play Warhammer. I want to play Kings of War. It's like, well, what if I just took those minis and I made them even more mini?
Oh yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And took all the stuff and miniaturized that even.
Mm-hmm.
So you go from like a 20E5 or a 32 mil, whatever scale we're at these days. I think it's 32, heroic.
Sure.
Down to a 10 millimeter game. And like all of a sudden, like I can fit that in my fanny pack. And that's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Partially it was that Scott over on the Miniac channel, Trapped Under Plastic, was painting a Forest Dragon mini that is 10 millimeter. It was a vampire model. And it was super cool. And I went and looked it up, and turns out there are like whole armies of these things that you can buy and print out, 3D print out. You can also just buy them. It's like people will print them out that resell. So, and they're pretty cheap. I think on eBay for like a whole army was like $50-$60 printed out. So yeah, I don't know. Like I've been kind of delving into that, thinking about like, what can I do with this size? Can I modify these models to not be like rank and file minis? Can I put them on rounds and do like a literal miniature version of a war game or like a skirmish game or something small? Because I'd love to just have like a little wooden box, right, with all the minis in it and just bust it out with terrain, because you can get 10 mil terrain. Mm-hmm. Print that out too. I just want to have like this thing, like a game in a tiny box. That's what I want.
Dude, you've got a dream. You've got to find a way to execute on that dream. Yeah.
Well, and I've solidified this sort of in that I am going to be making a video. I've already printed out a bunch of models and painted some. So like I'm on the track to like figuring something out. I'm going to come up with a conclusion by the end of the video, or the end of the time that I have to make the video.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. So if anybody has any ideas on how to, I don't know, is it the terrain? Is it the board? Is it like, what would be the thing besides the models themselves that need to go in this box?
Yeah.
To make this like, I can pull it out of my pocket, throw down some dice.
Okay, so we were talking about this, and I think we take all the lengths and heights and diameters and divide them by 3. So if we're going from 30 millimeter height minis to 10 millimeter height minis, I don't think we need to worry about, volumes and cubing anything and, squares. I think we're just ratio, dividing by 3. Yeah. So, if you were going to have a 4x4 game, like 4 feet by 4 feet, it becomes 16 inches by 16 inches.
Yeah,
it's still a pretty big box to put in your pocket. Or I don't know if you're going to be like,
it could be like a foldable
little terrain mat.
Yeah, right. Yeah, or could it be like, I've got terrain that maybe there's some corner pieces, as it were, like we put corner pieces to show the corners, and then we have terrain and objectives that pull out. That you put down in the middle of that, right? So you don't necessarily need a board. Like, you can measure that out while you're there. Because like, you can get tiny little tape measures. That's no big deal.
Sure.
But it's how to fit all that in a box. Because that's what I want to do.
Like a lunchbox?
I mean, yeah, probably, like, realistically, which then we could do all sorts of stuff. But I don't know. I'm thinking like, even like, when I say fanny pack, like, I'm talking fanny hammer, right? Fanny pack Warhammer. Like a long box, right? That you could put in a fanny pack pouch. I don't know why it has to be that, but it just seems like what it has to be.
It's a good thumbnail.
I mean, the models are like, they're so small.
Plus, when people see you coming like with 2 fanny packs strapped on, they know what's happening.
Right? Ready for war.
Ready for war.
Like, I'm holding up, right? I'm holding up like 50 skeletons right now. Okay.
Oh yeah.
This is like battle line for most Age of Sigmar armies. So you split that up into the little guys, and like, I've got some ideas of how to work around like getting the other bases, and just using the kind of War Master system like that GW already made for these things, because that is already a game, 10 millimeter War Master.
Sure.
But like, I don't know. I don't want to use like a pre-existing thing. I want to make it feel like modern Warhammer in my pocket. So that's kind of my goal. We'll see if I actually succeed in that. But any kind of suggestions or advice down in the comments at youtube.com/paintbravely the podcast would be truly helpful. Yeah. Because I don't know. There's something about that. It's just, I don't know why it's so appealing to me. I've also kind of like, I don't know if you ever had this happen, but you're working on a project or an army, and like, you injure yourself and you feel like kind of more connected to that project, and you kind of have to like finish it because you like did something to yourself. Like, I had that happen too. Like, I stabbed the shit out of my finger.
Yeah.
And there was blood like all over a bunch of the minis, and I'm just like, I guess they're mine now. I
thought you were going to say that it came to you while you were in bed with a terrible ear infection, but no, this was knife related.
This is knife related.
Okay.
I did stab myself, and in my I don't know, I was holding my finger in pain, like like this will be mine. Like, we're gonna make this a thing. I want it to be tiny. This felt like cleaning up mold lines, like on a minis, and it's like, well, these are so small. Like, who cares? I don't know. Like, I don't know why I was cleaning them up, but it's just one of those things. Yeah, I painted a few. They're hard to paint. 10 mil models, but you also can like take a ton of liberties. Like, I painted some horses with dudes on top, like armor, and threw in some stuff, and then like, I literally, they kind of look like crap, and I just washed the hell out of them, and they looked really good after. I was like, oh yeah, that'll do it, because like, the black line on that scale is a little bit thicker, and it really defines those models, especially these ones. They're specifically like well done. So yeah, I don't know, I've just been really into that. So, yeah, I don't know. This sounds fun. Roll up the, like if you're on an airplane, it's like, want to play some Warhammer on this little, just
turn
tray?
To the person next to you who you heard about Warhammer.
Yeah. Right. Have you heard about Warhammer.
Trying to think what the,
like,
the dimensions are
on the plane
for
to
your
Adepticon.
tray table there. It
11 by 17, maybe. Like at the most.
Might be close
Even
enough.
if it's 8.5 by 11. It's close enough to have a good time. That's what it is. Yeah. And hey,
you're gonna be
Warhammer that
orcs.
size is a carry-on. Yeah. Orcs, not orcs. Now let me tell you that story. Excuse me. The last few airplanes I've been on, man, like the people sitting next to me like really did not want to have anything to do with me or talk or, like there's, I don't know, maybe it's just COVID or whatever. So people just don't want to be involved,
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest. I'm normally like a friendly but not overly friendly smile, and then I try to fall asleep as quickly as possible. But like,
okay, I'm there with you.
Smile, nod, turn away, fall asleep. That's what I try to do.
Yeah.
But if they don't even make eye contact, that's fine too. Yeah, that's fine too. Yeah.
That's the thing that gets me. It's like sometimes they'll say, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" They sit down because it's like we're cramped and this is a 4.5 hour flight. Like,
sure,
you're gonna bump into the person.
Yeah,
or
I normally don't make it as far as where
by.
are you going or whatever.
Theoretically, the exact same place you are.
To begin with, yeah.
Yes, to begin with, that's true. Like you're on a direct 5-hour flight. Yeah. Where are you going? You know where I'm going.
Fall asleep.
Literally, yeah. Well, that was awkward. You want to play Warhammer?
Same place as you, buddy.
What are you talking about, Warhammer? Oh, it's this game. Let's just pull it out of my fanny pack here.
Yeah. But yeah, with the masks on the plane, can't do the like little smile and nod anymore. You can kind of like stare at them and nod, but yeah, just fall asleep.
Right, yeah. Oh man,
skip all that and go straight to sleep. Yep.
Yeah, it's a good call. All right, so my ultimate dream with this though, 10 mil Warhammer, getting the round bases just right, getting the models like proxies, whatever they are, they recognizable enough. Got little tiny cards of all the models and all the war scrolls. I want to see like Adepticon 2022 in the middle of a hallway, like old school. We're playing Pokemon on the floor at lunchtime. People throwing down some legit Warhammer. You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
it would be amazing.
That would be pretty good.
Yeah, that's what I want.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna have room in my fanny pack, but we'll see.
Well, if you bring a fanny pack, I'll figure that out.
We'll make it work.
I'll buy you a fanny pack. How about that?
Well, for the viewers and listeners, why don't you leave a comment below about whatever crazy quest that you're on and whatever silly idea that you can't get out of your head, and
that hobby idea that just doesn't leave you.
Yeah. And
I like that.
People are like, "Why are you buying so many popsicle sticks?" You'll see.
It's a good question.
See. Be patient. Yeah.
You'll see. I'm making wood floor. That's gonna take a minute.
It takes a little while, but it's good. Yeah. Speaking of little hobby injuries that make us more connected to our projects, we were supposed to record this podcast last night, but I messaged you, Casey. I'm like, true. I have the most ridiculous crick in my neck because I've spent the last couple of days just staring down at my desk, and now I can't raise my head, and I'm going to sleep now.
Yep, and I had to casually be like, that makes sense, Brent. And
no, I get it. I get it. Well, you can tell me about the popsicle sticks tomorrow, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, that was the direct reason, because popsicle sticks. I'm like, all right, that'll do. That's fine.
Sure,
there'll be some explaining on this podcast. Yeah, it was a good explanation. I could see that. I could see I like bent over, like trying to get just right. Did you put the little like the nail rivet, like the divots in the end of the boards?
No, I didn't. They actually look fine without that. Although I'm sure you could.
I bet they looked fine.
Yeah, get an awl and put the little divots in.
Yeah. It's like a.
I didn't, but I could.
I've done it before.
Yeah,
you could. Get another crick in your neck. Never record another podcast again.
I mean, actually, I'm thinking about it. My posture right now is not that much different. I'm not really like looking up into the camera.
It's not,
but
no.
any movement was causing me extreme pain last night, and actually all day yesterday I was like, my neck was in pain, and for some reason the most comfortable thing to do was to not move it at all and just keep gluing down popsicle sticks. Like keep it perfectly immobile as I was gluing popsicle sticks.
Yeah. You're just in the zone,
which wasn't making it better, but I don't think it was making it that much worse. Like it did.
It's like walking it off, right?
Yeah. We get all kinds of weird little injuries and aches as we get older, but yeah,
that's true.
Walk it off.
That's very true. Yeah, like I don't know, sitting in a chair for an extended period of time and just one of your ass cheeks goes numb for no reason. Like that's just a thing when you're in your 30s. It's just that's what happens.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing for it. Stand up, do something.
That's right.
Yeah, and stabbing yourself with a hobby knife, that's pretty much a given. Like when you're in this hobby, like, you'll just do that. Luckily, like this last one was like it seemed kind of not great at first, because I definitely like fully pushed through, like opened the horse legs into my finger.
Mm-hmm.
And like the width, because I stabbed it straight in, right, and it was a brand new X-Acto blade. So like think about as the X-Acto blade gets wider, like this is pretty good. It's like I don't know, 1/8 of an inch wide. So like, I mean, it goes pretty sharp at the tip. So I mean, it's pretty far up the blade there. I don't think it hit any bone or anything, but it definitely right in the tip of my pointer finger, just right in there. Yeah. That's happened probably like 30 times in my whole life. So it's good stuff. What other injuries, things have you experienced in this hobby in particular?
I mean, I've definitely cut my hands before. And it's always funny when it shows up on a video, like people like timestamp it. Like, yeah. At 5 minutes, 14 seconds, no Band-Aid. At 5 minutes, 15 seconds, there's a Band-Aid. What happened, Brent? Are you okay? Like,
well, exactly. What happened?
Yeah.
Oh man, I've stabbed myself multiple times with an airbrush needle, thinking that there was a cover on the end and I'm trying to backflow.
Yeah.
So it's like literally hold the hand up and go stab, just stab it right in to whatever. And that's happened plenty of times. Like you can see it on camera easily.
Yeah. So airbrushes, some of them, the needle really sticks out pretty far from the nozzle and you can definitely hurt yourself. Some of them have like a little guard there. So it's easier to put a finger on it and do the backflow thing to try to mix things up or whatever. What I actually do is I take a little scrap of toilet paper and just wad it up and use that to block the.
That is the proper way to do that.
Sure.
Generally, I like if I've been working for a while, I have like a paper towel that I use to clean off the needle or do whatever, and that ends up getting pretty wet. So that's what I use to do that with, and it works fine. Same thing, same principle. Badger has like a little rubber tip that goes over that you can do that with pretty easily. That just protects the needle. You don't have to worry about it touching anything. It's also how you store it generally. But a lot of brands do have a cover, which is pretty annoying. Like I used to appreciate the fact that my airbrushes had covers, but the more I used an airbrush, and the more it was like, well, I got to keep the tip clean, right? It's number one rule: keep the tip clean. You can't get to it with a cover on there.
Mm-hmm.
So unless you have one of those like split covers that just is literally to prevent you from stabbing yourself or breaking the needle, like you have to remove the little tiny cover and then clean it. And that's like every 5 seconds. So inevitably that cover comes off and you just end up stabbing yourself in the hand. So, yeah.
Not as bad as an X-Acto blade.
Not as bad, actually. No, not nearly as bad. Still blood, but not as much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And okay. I had a really good one once. In fact, back in the day doing those goblins, when we both did the ton of goblins that we did, you did that 100 goblin video. I was cleaning off mold lines, and I actually stabbed myself with the actual spear on the goblin. Like, pretty good.
That's happened.
In my finger.
Yeah.
Yes. And the spiky things on the models, 100% I've been stabbed with multiple times. Like, especially if I'm cleaning something, like if I'm trying to get in there, like with a knife to clean off a mold line, and I'm holding the model or something, you know, it's like you don't really realize the pressure you're putting on. Just as an update, Brent's cat just took off holding his headphones. That was pretty great. Tore him off his head. Perfect. Yeah, like you're gripping the model and you don't realize you're holding it that tight, and all of a sudden that little spiky end goes right, it just sinks in. You know it's penetrated your skin, and it's just the worst feeling. Like, it sucks. And yeah, I've had that on goblins. That spear tip is not exactly dull. Like, it's actually sharp. Like, it just is. So you got to be careful.
Yeah.
Those little
the spears are short enough for them to be kind of stout, you know?
Yeah.
Really
they're kind of strong,
mounted solidly to those little goblins so that they can really get you. There's no bend. So there's no give. Somewhere
on my my Facebook page or some like Instagram, there's a picture of me with like a pretty good sized cut on my finger, and me holding a stupid like goblin going, what the hell? Come on.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I'll have to find that one. Give it to Matt. I was gonna give because I got a bunch of footage. I purposely tried to take extra footage to give to editor Matt, who edits these podcasts, so that he could show some of the stuff that we're talking about. I'm going to try and do that more often. I tend to forget, even though I mentioned it. So hopefully that video went up. And if it didn't, then it's my fault. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
No horrible injuries though, really. Mostly just stabbings, small stabbings.
I'm trying to think. There was I'm just remembering when we were with Danny down in Florida, and we were teaching him how to use the airbrush, and the first time he heard the air compressor, he like jumped.
Yeah.
That's not an injury, but like, I mean, that's scary if you're not expecting it. Have you ever been scared doing this hobby, or are you just always brave?
Try and paint bravely.
Try to paint bravely.
Like, whatever.
I've been
try to.
Popsicle.
I mean, okay,
bravely.
sometimes if I'm up super late and it's like 3 or 4 in the morning, right, and like nobody's around, I don't hear any noises, everyone's asleep, it's dead silent, and like my compressor just happens to be connected to my airbrush, which has like a quick release that doesn't always sit just right. Like if it's kind of off to a side or something, it does leak air. And sometimes I'll be sitting at my desk and the thing will just start going to refill with air.
Yeah.
Because I didn't realize it was still on and it was leaking just the smallest amount of air. So yeah,
right.
That has definitely scared the crap out of me before.
Yeah.
I think that's the only thing though. I can't think of anything else that was like that.
Yeah. Sort of similar, but back when I was a chemist, working with an NMR, imaging machine, it's a instrument that is cooled by liquid nitrogen, and so there's like a sheath of liquid nitrogen that keeps the sheath of liquid helium cool, so that the detector can do what it needs to do. But anyway, you just need to fill this up frequently, or once a week or so, with liquid nitrogen, and slowly as the liquid nitrogen warms up, the pressure builds up, and so it vents the pressure. And so it's a very similar thing of like suddenly a blast of air, suddenly an air compressor, suddenly it's way more than it's loud, but
like a water heater venting.
Yeah, it's one of those things like late pressure. At night, like oh. Yeah. Ooh. And, totally. I was with I was with some guy once down doing some late night imaging, and it was like a jock who happened to be taking chemistry classes, and it went off, and he like jumped out of his seat, went, ah! Like, no,
that's good.
But no, man, that air compressor can be scary. I know what you mean.
I mean, hey, you know, it goes off, man. I mean, I don't think there's anything else like realistic. Oh, you know, the first time I ever ran a 3D printer, like I thought something was going to break because it was like, you know, the suction noise that comes off the FEP.
Yeah, that's more of like a fear for your investment or a fear of needing to repair something that seems complicated. It was the first 30 seconds I hit pause on the machine and like spent the next hour and a half online trying to get an answer. A fear of breaking something and needing to do customer support through China. Yeah.
For real. Well, because this was the first 3D printer that I got, like when I worked with Anycubic. And it was like, oh my God, I broke this printer. Like I felt super bad. And it was this whole thing. And there, of course, I ended up coming to the conclusion that somebody told me. It's like, no, that's like literally fine. That's what you want to hear. Like it means your print is doing what it's supposed to be doing. And it's like, that's great.
Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah. Okay. So, you know, of course, the print turned out great. Like, it was perfect.
Tell us your fears. Your hobby
my fears? My personal.
No, I'm talking to our audience right now. Let us know what you're afraid of.
I got a good one though. I got a legit good one.
Oh yeah.
So my editing desk is in a closet, right? Like a pretty decent walk-in closet. That's where I was painting for years, like a year or whatever, and I did a lot of work on the channel. So I put in a computer desk in there, and it fit nicely on one side, but my chair is over the crawl space access. And like most, you know, houses, like the crawl space is kind of not a great, it's okay. It's not like the worst dirty, but you know, there's like black widows and scorpions and stuff where, you know, I am brown recluses, like things that could be dangerous to you in a lot of ways.
So there's like a square hatch down to the crawl space. Is that what it is? Or?
Yeah, like directly below me.
Okay.
And like I've had ants come into my office before, so I know things can get through, right? So I don't know, like my desk is kind of butted up against the wall. And even to this day, it's been now 2 years since I've had that desk in there. Like I won't like take my shoes off and put my feet up behind the desk because I'm like 99% positive there's a dangerous animal living behind there that is going to kill me. So it's like a weirdly not comfortable desk to sit at just because of the situation it's in. And like, there's probably not a black widow behind there, but like, I've also encountered black widows in the dumbest places. So you just never know. I don't want to get bit.
And now I'm afraid. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. But so your desk isn't up against a wall. Like you're freestanding in the middle of the room.
I'm also in Maine. Yeah.
That's good point. We got scorpions here, man.
Yeah, we have spiders, but I don't think they can hurt anybody. And snakes, but they can't really hurt anybody either.
Yeah, we got like rattlesnakes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You ever walked out your house and almost stepped on a rattlesnake? Yeah, I've done that plenty of times. Never good. Scorpions, like, you know, sitting on my bedroom floor at my parents' house a long time ago, just playing Pokemon with my friend who was staying the night, and like legit 3-inch, nice, big, fat scorpion crawls from under my like clothes dresser, like right into the middle of us playing. It's like, that's great. That's great. Ugh. Yeah.
Oh,
your bed's like 2 feet away.
Yeah, those fears are not good.
No, so I grew up with that, and it still affects me just a little.
Okay, yeah, I mean that makes sense. I get it. I'm lucky to be able to paint bravely most of the time. I mean, sometimes if I've cut myself several times in a row, I get like a little bit shy. But other than that,
you get a little X-Acto shy for a minute.
X-Acto shy, yeah.
Yeah, that does happen. X-Acto shy, it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's okay.
That's normal. Yeah. It's normal. So, all right, we'll put this to bed. How have you been liking your Pro Acryl paints there?
Pro Acryl. My Pro Acryls, they're actually pretty nice. And the colors are nice and strong. They blend nicely. The white with a brush and with an airbrush are very nice. Like coverage is pretty good. Like I like raw out of the pot, painting white over pretty dark colors, like felt pretty good about it. And it still looked nice when I was done. You can't say that about some, like most other white paints. Like I think the only equivalent that I've ever really had was like Menoth White from P3. Was like pretty good, you know? Yeah, so I've been pretty happy with their base color sets. Or base, whatever, yeah. I know you just got some. Have you even used any yet?
Yeah, no, I have. I haven't used the white though, I don't think. But no, I really do enjoy them. I actually think they're thin enough so that I'm not sure if I should be using the wet palette or not. Like for some of them, everybody sets up their wet palette a little bit differently. And I think I have enough moisture coming through that they become a too thin, essentially. And so
that's possible if you're going for longer sessions, yeah.
Yeah, and so after, half an hour or so with one glob on the wet palette, that's about the working time, because then it's too thin and you need a new little blob of paint. So actually I've been experimenting going back to the regular little plastic well palettes, like not a wet palette for some of these.
Sure.
And I need to experiment some more and figure it out, but so far so good. I like them. Most of them, not all of them, but I'm having a pretty good time with them. So yep.
Yeah, that's good. It kind of brings up a point that I did want to talk about. And just because you mentioned palettes, right? We're kind of told these days, you gotta get a wet palette, gotta make a wet palette. Here's how to make one if you can't get one, whatever. And the idea is that a dry palette is a crutch, right? Like we're using dry palettes and we could be doing so much better, or making our painting better. And to be honest, like upgrading to a wet palette and getting used to using one does technically improve like your ability to mix paints and then keep them around so that you can continue to use them and be more consistent with your paint job. But I mean, I still use a dry palette probably half the time.
Do you really? Okay.
For most things.
Really?
I do. And even so far as like, I'll throw down paint on some like construction paper and just use enough for whatever I'm doing, Yeah. Yeah, so I find that to be a crutch most of the time. For me, like I should be using a wet palette, but I end up going back to a dry palette.
For short painting sessions, where you're only going to use one or two colors and you don't feel like taking the time to get the wet palette set up, hey, sometimes it's just faster and easier to just put a glob of paint on your construction paper and get to work. I think that's all right.
That is true. I mean, it is quicker.
Yeah, like I said, with some of these thinner paints, and definitely like pretty much always with metallic paints, you don't want to be using a wet palette. There are some paints that, regular old palette's the way to go for sure.
Yeah, that's true. And I usually have my wet palette sat on top of a disposable dry palette. I thought it was within reach of me. I just turned around to look. It's somewhere right behind me. No, so I actually buy palette. It's just called palette.
Okay.
And it's from Michaels. It's like a yellow cover. It just says palette. And each layer, it's like tacked on both sides so that you have to rip the paper on both ends with like that kind of waxy seal, so that it is essentially like almost like a wax paper. But it is just a palette and it's disposable. Once you're done, you rip the top paper off and there's like 100 palettes in there. And I use that like for years.
Oh, this makes me curious.
Before I got a wet palette. Yeah. They're useful to have.
I'm definitely curious. Yeah, I've got a little stack of 6 well palettes, plastic well palettes. And I kind of use those until they're really nasty. And then I put them in my, not Simple Green, Super Clean. I put them in a little bit of Super Clean that I have around here and get them cleaned up and ready to go again. But yeah, no, I'm interested in your palette paper. Might have to give that a try sometime. Palette paper.
Right, here it is.
Yeah.
Palette paper. So this is from Michael's. It's like $6 or something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I exaggerate. It's 9x12. There are 40 sheets in here, not like 100. I said like 100, didn't mean 100. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, like it's just a palette, and then when you're done, you know, you take off that top layer and you get a new palette. So it's nice. It's kind of like a waxy, like I said, a waxy paper.
Man, I learned
so
something
it doesn't
new today.
seep
Thank
through
you.
or anything. Yeah. This is really good stuff. But again, you know, some would say possibly a crutch. I don't know. Maybe not. Like definitely for some things, but you know.
Yeah. So you seem like you want to talk about crutches, like things that are hanging you up and keeping you from moving forward and learning stuff. Is that what we want to talk about?
Yeah. I suppose, okay, so like on a personal painting level, like lately I've definitely felt like some of the things that I'm doing, and I don't know if they technically are, we can explore this a little if you want to, but like I'm going to my go-tos, right? I'm getting in my comfort zone, maybe a little more often than I'd like, you know, and not expanding artistically as much as I could be.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's just I'm using things as crutches because I know how to use them, or if I'm just not painting bravely enough and just going for it with other techniques or other products, or, you know, like taking the time to actually do the wet palette. Now, on that specific note, Redgrass Games did just send me like a nice package with like a painting handle and like their new the XL wet palette and stuff to try out. So like I am going to be trying to use that a little bit more just because they sent it to me to try. But like things like for the longest time I used like the color green, right? Like going back even to when we did our first technical collaboration together.
Mm-hmm.
And you sent me that Sisters of Battle Exorcist tank.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I legit painted that thing like friggin' bright green.
Yeah, you did the Kenny Boucher special.
I did.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which also was like, yeah, I was watching a lot of Next Level Painting back then too, so go figure.
Understandable.
Definitely, that's how I learned how to airbrush, man. Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even pick up an airbrush until I watched like all of his videos. And there's some history there. We got to talk about that eventually, but yeah, like you know, it felt for a long time I was using a lot of greens, and I painted the Green Knight, like a literal green, all green thing. There was a bunch of other stuff just kind of back to back that was all the same kind of green tones. And somebody pointed out, they're like, you know, man, like there are literally every other color like you could try on this channel. It's like, you know what? That is a really good idea. And I said in a video back then, this was like 2.5 years ago, I won't be using green for like literally as long as I possibly can hold out. And I don't know how long that was. I think it was a couple of months where like I just tried not to touch it. Right. And I did notice an improvement in other colors. Like all of a sudden, you know, okay, I got used to like how reds work, like how to highlight reds, how to mix reds, how to do these different things. You know, green was a crutch for me. It was like my go-to, the thing that I learned, right? And I feel like I'm kind of getting back into that kind of area where like lately I've been using like a lot of cold tones, or, you know, like a fluorescent pink to do some pop of color, or brown enamels to kind of take care of a lot of my technical work or cover up things, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I kind of wanted to talk about it and see if it's something that is just me today, that's just how I'm feeling, or is this kind of something that people deal with on a regular basis? Do you find yourself using things to your disadvantage, so to say?
Yeah, so my first comment on that is it's okay to use the materials and colors that you like to use.
For sure.
And that also kind of gets to, do you always need to be expanding your horizons and trying new things? And I mean, I think trying to do a little something new fairly frequently is good for development, and it can be fun because that will get you to learn new things, and it can be fun to learn new things, rewarding to learn new things. But man, sometimes you just get your Vallejo model color purple out, you put that down on your wet palette.
That's true.
Put down a nice coat of purple with a single pass. Man, that's a good feeling right there.
That's true. I'm right there with you. Like my leather recipe hasn't changed for like a year and a half.
Sure.
And I can still get good variety out of that. So you do find specific colors that will always do what you want them to do.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I think when you do find that, to hold on to those, because like if you want to paint purple and you want it to cover and you want it to do a certain thing, like that's usually, I do find that like a good starting place color like that is something to kind of just keep in your back pocket and know that that's going to work for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I can see how that makes sense. It's not necessarily a crutch, but it's kind of your like workhorse, I guess.
Or your favorite. Yeah. So
sure.
I think part of this gets to the idea of what is a painting style. I feel
Sure.
like, you got your super pretentious level artists who are talking about like the style of this person or the style of that person.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't taken, art history or art appreciation or anything, but I think art style for most people is just what they like to use. Like the stuff they have at their desk, the stuff they're comfortable with, the stuff that makes them happy, the stuff that gives a product that they like and they're proud of. And I mean, there may come a time when my style is associated with Vallejo model color purple, and I mean, I
Right.
guess I'm not consciously thinking of that being my style, but that's a good color. I'm going to use that whenever there's an excuse,
Good color. Yeah. True. It's a good color.
But no, I think that whether you want to call them like crutches or ruts or just like what you like to use, no, I think we do have a tendency to fall into patterns of always reaching for streaking grime or always reaching for that fluorescent pink or whatever the case may be. And I mean, if it's given an okay result, maybe you should branch out a little bit and find some stuff that gives a great result. For me, I can make decent looking bases for my minis. But I am well aware that my go-to is throw some sand or some texture paste on there, prime it black, dry brush with gray, dry brush with lighter gray, put a tuft on there. Hey, not bad. Rim that with black and you've got a pretty nice looking base. And I in terms of crutches, I think that is maybe one of my biggest ones, because that's just like, how do I base this mini? Well, better put that texture paste on there, like,
Right.
Whereas
that's kind of what I'm getting at too. Yeah,
you got your eons of battle, always trying new bases and coming up with awesome stuff. And there are times, I guess, when it's a problem or when it kind of gets at you is when you feel like it's a problem. When you feel like, man, I'm doing this again, it's gonna be okay, but I wish I knew how to make a different kind of base, or I wish I knew how to do this differently, because this thing that I know how to do is, I know it's okay, but I know it could be better. Or it's when it starts to give you that itch, I think that it becomes more of an issue.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're,
that makes sense.
Yeah. Hey, but if you have a base that you're convinced, you throw your Geek Gaming base ready mix on there, get your Geek Gaming special white glue on there, put them little rocks and shrubberies and green foam things.
Like, I've thought about
that
many
is the
times
best base in existence. That system.
Yeah. Because at least there's some like variety in there. I haven't gotten any of that stuff yet. I haven't tried any of it. But I've been meaning to for like a while. And I am gonna message Luke from Geek Gaming at some point. And I may have mentioned this before, but I'm planning on doing like a pretty large board build, like 3 or 4 6x4s kind of thing.
Ooh.
For a 2-car garage train set.
Oh.
So yeah, so like something I do want to like try and document and try and get something going, just to be like, this is the project I'm working on, this is how it's going, whatever. But like using something like base ready mix to doing that stuff, like I've seen that those results, and they're pretty good. And I could see using that for like all of my mini bases, because I'm the same way. It's like I just go with I put sand on the base and prime everything black, and then like change the color up a little bit at the end with something, and throw a tuft on there. That's about it.
Not bad. Like, not bad at all.
Right. Like ironically, I guess this Bone Reaper's army that I just finished this last week. So 2,000 points, knocked it out this week. All of the bases started like that with texture like sand. I ended up doing static grass, like making them look like graveyards. And I did throw a tuft in there too, to kind of, mess with the color a little bit. But I had this like cool idea about the color of like, how do you get like contrasting to your model's static grass. So like, okay, I got this like dead grass, some greens in here, a little bit of yellows. Like it was kind of nice. It was a little bit of a change up for me. Cause like I was just gonna just straight up they're standing in mud, and that's why the feet are covered in sand and garbage. You cannot see them, But I don't know. It's just one of those things. I guess. I don't know. Like trying to think of something else it would be. I wrote a couple things down. So something like painting to the best of your ability all the time, like, to me feels like a crutch or something that you can get stuck into.
Yeah.
Of like this constant need to improve and outdo yourself and get better. But I'm trying to paint an army, and I want every single model to look awesome, right? And somewhere around like 150 points of models, you're like done. You're done, right? You don't want to do it anymore. And I feel like that's one of those things that can come up and give you this like false sense of what it is to like paint an army or to get a lot of work done or where you have to be in miniature painting, right? It's like, it's okay to just like paint quickly and get it done. It can still look good too, and of course on the other end of that, doing that all the time and not ever trying to just improve, Of course, this is all like kind of personal, depends on you. But, things that feel like they could turn into crutches that really don't help us just paint.
You're saying the word crutch, but I'm hearing more like rut, like getting stuck into one thing or, becoming reliant on your crutch. We'll figure out the metaphor. We'll get there. But
something.
Yeah, no,
you know what I'm saying, though. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I absolutely do. I think very common advice is try to work on a diversity of subjects. Like try different models, try painting at different skill levels, using different techniques, painting, at different scales, all that stuff.
I like that. That's good.
And I think that is commonly given advice. And so if anyone does feel like they are in a rut, try to get excited about a project that involves substantially more popsicle sticks. Try painting wood using Minwax stains instead of painting minis using acrylic model paint.
Right, that makes sense. I like that. It's good. Just start laying down some floorboards and see where it takes you. See where those floorboards take you.
Yeah. So I've definitely been in a situation where there's a technique that is getting me farther than I've ever been before, and so I become reliant on it or use it as a crutch. When I was getting back into the hobby after my the break in my 20s, I For some reason, I got really into, almost contrast paints before contrast paints, but I was painting with washes. So,
sure.
It's actually Secret Weapon washes, and sadly, we heard the news recently that Secret Weapon is going out of business or going on hiatus, at least something like that.
As far as I know, they are fully like done, and the sale, I don't know if it's still going on. There was a massive sale on their website though. They were just getting rid of everything. So as far as I know, he's done.
That's sad.
Which is a huge loss for the hobby community.
Yeah,
honestly, if you can find Tire Black and the other colors in that line, you need to just pick up Secret Weapon, whatever you can. The paints are good. The bases, talking about sneaking some under the radar, getting some Secret Weapon resin bases into White Dwarf, for real. Not knowing. I
don't think I heard that story, but I believe it. Yeah.
There've been a few. There've been a few that have made it in there, and they didn't know. And of course, it's supposed to be 100% GW and White Dwarf. It makes perfect sense. It's their magazine. But Secret Weapon bases definitely sneaking their way through. So, it's a good day when you see that.
Yeah.
So it's sad. That's sad.
It is. So when I was getting back into the hobby, at the time, my local game store had a rack of Secret Weapon washes. And so I got really into painting with colored washes. They have had a line of 30 or so different colors of washes. And I would pretty frequently drive over there and buy another 3, 4, 5 colors. I think this is what people have done with contrast paints more recently. But I was painting those old 3rd edition Dark Eldar warriors. I'd get them built up. I'd prime them white. I'd paint their under spandex black. And then for all the white parts, I'd just slop on actually a mixture of Secret Weapon wash and Pledge floor cleaner, which makes this really cool, glossy, alien colored armor color.
Oh,
dude! Hey, don't knock it.
Never come off. Yeah.
At the time, I was so incredibly excited and happy with the look that this was giving me. So I was doing 3 fairly thin coats of Pledge floor cleaner colored with maybe a 50-50 mix of these colored washes. And now I look back and I'm like, okay, it's all right.
It was a different time back then.
But at the time,
it really was.
It was the best I had ever painted. It looked good. It's probably the feeling that some people get when they use contrast paints or whatever, but I was excited about it. It was the technique that I knew that could do something fun. And I didn't really understand this at the time, but of course, every wash, the pigment is different, and so it's going to settle different. And so, some of the colors looked really good with this technique. Some of them looked pretty bad. But most of my experimenting was just, trying to get the red to look better or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, for a while, painting with washes with Pledge floor cleaner and Secret Weapon was what I could do. It was far better than the painting I had done 10 years previous.
Yeah. I remember people talking about that Pledge, because it'd do the whole thing of the surface tension, right? It breaks surface tension. It gets your wash into those recesses because you got this super gloss floor polish that's giving you that look, right? It makes perfect sense. Like in your head, you're thinking about it. It's that works. All right, we're gonna mix these together. Or you go back even further. And the go-to method before washes were really a thing, GW used to sell inks, right? So you could buy your inks, your chestnut inks and your whatevers. And you would you'd mix it down into a wash from there because it's super concentrated and you get a nice wash out of that. Or you'd put dish soap in there to do the same thing. You lower that surface tension, you mix it down with some dish soap and some water, and then you put it in there. Now Now you're working with that, right? You're getting in there and it's doing its job and it's blacklining and it's, whatever.
Oh yeah.
Talking about like making wood look pretty good that way, getting that grain to stand out just really well.
Yeah.
I haven't heard about anybody doing that in a long time, but that pledge kind of felt like the comeback,
Yeah. Yeah.
Same kind of deal. And now we're kind of onto the let's gloss varnish that and use an oil wash like the historical guys have been doing for 30 years,
True.
We kind of caught up. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so the overall meta of the mini painting community evolves with time, but as individual painters, of course, we go through similar things. And yeah, we go through this, discovering a new technique. It's the coolest thing you've ever done. You do it on everything. And then eventually I find that I start to get the feeling, doing this again. Is this all I know how to do?
Yes.
Am I just going to be stuck mixing pledge with colored inks forever? Like, is this what we've come to?
Come out. Yeah.
And eventually you buy an airbrush, and eventually you learn about Liquitex inks, and then you go to Michael's with all the coupons and you get your 50% off on your Liquitex artist acrylic inks. You buy up the whole collection, you check out all the different colors, you get all your filters and your smooth base coats and your smooth highlights, and then man, it just seems like every project I'm starting off with shooting inks through an airbrush, and there's got to be more to life. Yep.
Yeah. And that's a little bit where I'm at too. It's like using the massive amounts of like filters over a zenithal or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
which is a nice effect, and you were proud when you figured it out. Nice. And if you want, you could continue making really nice looking models using exactly those techniques.
Oh, for sure. I mean, and there's, I maybe I should just put this up anyways and say it's like, I'm not trying to say that any of these crutches or ruts or anything are necessarily a bad thing. It's just like I've been feeling like there's more that I could do personally lately.
Yeah.
And some of these things I feel like are getting in my way, or I'm getting in my own way, or whatever the case is. Like using filters, like going for the inks, or I just painted this 2,000 point army using friggin' contrast paint and streak and grime, right? And like it looks absolutely legit. It's nice. I love it. Love the way it turned out. But like, there's got to be more to life, man. Like I also just painted like a couple thousand points of Death Guard doing the exact same thing.
Sure.
And now I'm kind of like, yeah, what's next? Like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm feeling like, okay, maybe I should throw the inks in a drawer for a couple months, that kind of thing. I got these Pro Acryls, like maybe let's just do that for a bit.
I mean, if you're getting frustrated and you want to challenge yourself and push your boundaries, I guess that's an option.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, on the other hand, at a certain point, I think some artists just find something that works and stick there. I mean, Bob Ross, he had his like 10 colors or whatever that was on every one of his palettes. He's got a sap green on there. He's got his phthalo blue. He's got his, I don't know, I forget. But
have you watched the new hard hitting documentary?
I have not. Is that on Netflix or what?
It is on Netflix. It's okay. Like Happy Little Kingdom of something. I don't even remember. It's like, it looks not good. Like apparently it paints out and I mean, I'd heard things in the past like that. It wasn't like it was just happy-go-lucky all the time. That was his personality. But you're talking like a dude with a fro who was big in the 70s. Like there's going to be some things, some skeletons, if you know what I mean. There's going to be some things. And I don't know. I don't know if it's fair to like make a documentary and like ruin that nostalgic look that we kind of have for Bob Ross. But yeah, it was a different time, whatever. I don't know.
I mean, I haven't
watched it because I don't want to ruin it.
I saw a couple of like, pull quotes that made it seem like the managers were mean to him or were, profiting way more than he was off of some of his stuff. I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Maybe.
Yeah. Once, I think I've mentioned that I go on a rotation of unsubscribing from the different streaming services, and It's been a good 6-8 months on Netflix is not your month right now. So it'll be coming back around not too long. I did cancel Hulu recently, so we'll get there. We'll get there.
That's probably a good call. Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense. I think we're wrapping up on TV season right now. We're getting into the fall, so they're gonna be taking breaks till like February. Oh. Isn't that right? TV comes back.
I don't know. Yeah, TV is different these days, Casey. I don't know if they really do there.
Yeah, I literally have no idea anymore.
I'm not too worried about the CBS sitcom lineup.
No. They're right now. Man, you can just I just bought Picard for like $8 because it was on sale. Like, I don't
did
know.
You really?
Like, they're just
it
was digital, but it's like, it was just like, oh, why am I even bothering with this all access business? Like, whatever. It's just like buy the season for half off when they put it on sale. Yeah.
So
like Discovery was the same thing. They were like, I think they were still like $20 a season, but I don't know. That's not bad.
Yeah, that's forgetting to cancel for 1 month of your Discovery membership. We're getting off topic. We're getting off topic.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I am.
In fact, I think that was your fault, but that's fine.
Man, I'm tempted to watch all 30 seasons of Bob Ross with the question of, did his style evolve or was he in a rut the entire time? Was he crutching along with those? I'm going to say
no. Well, because he had his own paintings that weren't on the show.
Sure.
And even then, a lot of those, I don't think they kept around. He painted a couple versions of those things. It was one to test and then one for the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense. So it's not like he was just making that stuff up. I'm going to put a happy little tree here. It's like, no, I tested that little tree and I made sure it was happy.
Yeah, I'd heard about that, but I would be curious to look at his brushes, his palette, and then also which colors he was actually using from his palette over the seasons. Because I would be curious to be man, season 6, it was all winter landscapes. Every single one of them. Winter landscapes with a hut and a pond in every single one. I'm curious now. I because obviously I was very young when this was on TV, and I haven't paid as much attention as I could have here in the revival. But my memory is that it's the palette with the same 10 colors on it every time. He has the same 3 or 4 paintbrushes available to him every time. The size of his canvas is the same every time. It's pre-treated in the same way.
Generally,
I think sometimes he pre-treated it with black instead of white, but
yeah, occasionally he'd do black, or he'd have a mask, an oval mask over it, or it would be we did black, but it was a giant V in the middle, and that was a whole thing, or you're black on top and bottom, or he would do limited palette occasionally, and those were pretty exciting. And be like, oh look, it's just all these warm colors, all the warm tones out of his normal palette. You take all the cold tones out and paint something like that. So it depended on the day. But out of all, because I rewatched all the series that they put out again, and there wasn't anything one season was just happened to be landscapes of this particular kind. It seemed pretty varied.
Makes sense.
So I don't know if he ever did anything really specific. I think it was just all kind of that stuff that he did. Yeah. It's all the same stuff.
Man, some nerd has found a way to quantify this, quantify number of huts, number of ponds, number of trees, the various seasons. Somebody has found a way to quantify this, has put it on to a dot chart over the 32 seasons, and has calculated whether or not his style, his interest.
Bob Ross was a happy little tree man. That's what he was. That's all he was. That's why we gotta watch that documentary. Gotta watch that.
Go easy, man. Go easy.
Oh yeah, just say it. Throw it out there.
I'm not taking the bait this time, but I'm sure I'll accidentally say it later.
Not this time.
Did Bob Ross ever use teal, or did he always mix his sap green with his phthalo blue? I don't know.
But it certainly makes a good teal, I'm sure.
I think
good turquoise, if you will.
Man, we've forgotten to do that for like 3 or 4 episodes now.
Not true. I had somebody point that out, but I said it on an episode of my show, and I told him it counted, so it works. That's right. That totally happened. I totally forgot to tell you.
And here I was about to apologize to everybody. Yeah.
No.
Not this time.
See, we're splitting that up. It's like a secret thing. Yeah, that's what it is.
Not this time.
I need to make a new Paint Bravely t-shirt that just says teal is the color, or is the best color. Whatever it is.
That'd be a good one.
Somebody have a good idea for a teal t-shirt. I will make that tomorrow and put it up on the store for discount. Just throwing it out there.
All right.
Out there.
All right. So yeah, I'm trying to think. Like, I've certainly been in little ruts myself, little crutching along, but sometimes you just break out of it and you use popsicle sticks.
Yeah, I mean I'd say that's a good way to go. The wonderful uses of popsicle sticks, and I think that'll be the title of this episode.
I mean, I think, well, that is certainly one option. I know you had your heart set on having a serious discussion about mini painting crushes, and we did a little bit of it, but
maybe I did.
Yeah,
but you can make crutches out of popsicle sticks.
There's a craft. You don't just have to make hardwood floors. You can make entire houses and villages and cities.
Out
of popsicle sticks.
I mean, I've made a house out of popsicle sticks before.
You run a serious risk of diabetes, but that is a risk
if you were to eat all of those popsicles like that. I mean, I'd take that
in a short amount of time without.
Because you can outsmart that system and go get them sugar-free popsicles. That's right.
Fancy man.
Yeah, the diabetes popsicles.
Rest in peace, Wilford. Man, what?
That's true. Wasn't that guy famous before that?
Oh, he was quite famous.
Yeah, because like I didn't know that. Somebody said that the other day. I was just like, oh, Wilford Brimley did all this other stuff. I'm like, man, I thought that dude was just like the original meme that just that was him, and everybody knew his name from that. I didn't know he had a thing going before that.
Oh, I'm losing my mind. I watched a movie with him. It doesn't matter. Look, back to hobby painting crutches. If you feel like you're in a rut, if you feel like you're using a technique or a color or a product, and you're using it so often that it's bothering you, well, my friends, the time has come to paint bravely. Try something new.
That's a good point.
Put it in your desk drawer for a little while. Find an alternative. Find a new style and a new passion. Break through.
Yeah, I like that. Well, I don't think we're going to get any better than that. So on that note, thank you again for joining us on another episode of Paint Bravely. If you enjoyed this podcast, please help us out by leaving us a review on iTunes, subscribing to the YouTube channel, and sharing this message with your hobby friends. And as always, we appreciate each and every one of you for listening, and we will talk to you next time.
We appreciate you. Thanks for listening. Talk to you next time.
Did you just drink water this whole time? That's boring.
I forgot to go to the gas station.
Damn it, Brent. At least you put it in a bottle. I guess Snapple bottle or whatever.